This is Cognizant Conversations. This is duo, including me and my mom. Me must be mental. And my mom, Kelly on the Rise, and us talking about esotericism, psychology, self, life, experience, expansion. And this particular cognizant conversation is talking about our creative lock-in. So we've locked in every single day for the month of June. And we're also having 2 days like this one where we do a digital creative lock-in for 24 hours and just focus on our intentions, our creative projects, our passions, and our points of fulfillment and alignment, which is really important to us both. So taking the time out to dedicate our attention and devote ourselves, and devotion has been a word that's really important to us lately, is A1. So I wanted to talk about, well, we pretty much talked about what the lock-in was about from my point of view. Mom, do you want to expand on that?
You remember, I think that you kind of hit it all pretty much on the head. For me, first of all, I'm just so excited about it, because it's like, I think you said it earlier. It's accountability, and people love accountability, and so it's accountability because it's setting aside the time. So it's focus, it's accountability. I'm gonna do this with you. We're gonna lock in. We're gonna do this together, and you're gonna show up. I'm gonna show up. So it makes the showing up a little bit easier, for me. So, and then, it's a gift as well. This creative lock-in is a gift. I think that anybody should give themselves, to just to dedicate and devote, that there's that word again, to dedicate and devote time to self, time, and it's particularly time to self, to be creative, to focus, to lock in on something that is important, is passionate for you, and to really commit and dedicate that time that it takes in order to make that happen. So I'm looking at this creative lock-in as a gift. It's devotional time. Um, and like you said, like, this is our great experiment, because what gets to come from this lock-in. And I was thinking about the last lock-in, and I was like, so what came out of that last lock-in for me? So I don't know if we can segue right into that, or if you had that as one of your questions. I don't know how you want this to go, but yeah, you tell me what you're ready
Yeah,
for.
that's a perfect segue because that's actually the next topic that I wanted to get into. Yeah, I did want to talk about that first creative lock in because I feel like it was really productive for me, interestingly enough, even though what I ended up doing that first creative lock in, I didn't end up publishing, right? So for that first creative lock-in, I recorded two music demos in the closet of our hotel room, which was pretty awesome. I also brainstormed some thumbnails for a creative idea of making like astrological themed candles, and doing some artwork for that. So I thumbnailed those ideas. And I also did a lot of editing work on a video I was doing about my Tribeca journey and how I ended up at Tribeca Festival and how I ended up ending up on the long list for an Oscar nomination and all those things. And I never published that video. The two demos I recorded are not the two demos that I've been working on now. And what was the other thing I said? The Zodiac candles. I've actually been going through this whole deconstruction journey. So I'm putting a hold on doing things like specifically Zodiac based. So it's funny that the work that I did in the creative lockdown wasn't actually published in any way, but a lot of it was like kind of stepping stones for work that I would do. So yeah, I find that very, very interesting.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah, I figured out how to do it. I was trying to like toy with it the whole time, but yeah, I figured out how. So that first lock in, it showed me kind of my areas where I was still struggling. And I feel the same about this current lock in. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about that. The first lock in, we were staying at a hotel, and I realized when I was riding the elevator how scared I was still of being in the presence of other people, and how I would get in the elevator and my body language would turn away from everybody else in the elevator just because I was afraid kind of being perceived, and I felt it overwhelming to be squashed up in a small space with all these strangers. And I realized how that impacted the way that I worked creatively. And realized how my own fear of perception was influencing the time and attention I was putting on my creative projects, and also publishing those things, right? Everything that I worked on in our first lockdown, I actually never published. And I can make up reasons for that, but it was more insightful than it actually was productive. And it was insightful for me because I saw how I used the time, and I was extremely proud of myself with how I used our lockdown time. I used every single minute and second of that lockdown time. Um, very, very productively. And I'm seeing that now in this current monthly lockdown that we're doing. In the month of June, we're on the 7th day. This month feels like it's going so slow because every day I've been dedicating the time. I've been dedicating more than 30 minutes. The first week was just 30 minutes of devotion and dedication to our passions and creative projects, recording any instances of equanimity that we have with big, strong emotions or obstacles or challenges or attachments and all of those things. And then at the end of the week, we're supposed to do an artist date. An artist date is from The Artist Way, written by Julia Cameron, and they are dates that you're supposed to set with yourself and usually attend by yourself that encourage synchronicities and that help with the creative process and nurturing the inner artist. So we could talk a little bit about artist dates in a second, but I wanted to kind of get your opinion or your summary on this monthly lockdown we're doing and the creative digital 24-hour lockdown that we're doing today.
Um, Wait, you wanted to give my summary on the lockdown we're doing today, and then and what we're doing for the month.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I find it so interesting that, like, we're technically doing a lock in today. So I've locked myself in, like Deja said, we were in a hotel room for the last lock in, and today I've locked myself in to my room since I share the house with other people. And for the month of June, I've just been really like locked in for me to making myself a priority, because that's really what's underneath like my creative projects and everything like that. Because like I think how well, I know for me, how a lot of this came up again is because I noticed that it was really easy for me to spend 12 hours working on somebody else's shit, but how like it's not so easy to spend 12 hours just working on my stuff, just working on stuff that's important for me, for us. And I noticed with Khadijah, I noticed with you, how it's so easy. I even asked you, how many hours are you putting in working for, a particular client, and how much are they paying you, and blah, 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 blah. And then looking at that and saying, well, how much, do you put that amount of time into your own stuff? So this month is about locking in and making our stuff the priority, and devoting our time, our energy, and our efforts, and our awareness, and our focus, and getting in alignment with what it is we say we desire and we want, and we, the things that we choose to experience. And so I love that Deja is calling this an experiment, like a great experiment, because yeah, we get to experiment and see what devoting this particular time and putting our focus and awareness and attention onto getting into alignment and focusing in on our creativity and our passion projects and what is important for us, getting into alignment, what's really true for us, and dedicating 30 days to that. We're just trying to see. No expectations, just trying to see, well, what would happen if? What would happen if? So, and just like for you, the previous lockdown, I didn't get a whole lot accomplished, but I really did notice how I made use of my time and what that was like, for me to dedicate time to myself and see how I actually use the time. But it made for a better, stronger me, and I am grateful because it shifted me and allowed me to stop resisting posting. So I started posting from that, and to date, from that day, from our last lock-in to this lock-in, which has been a year, I've at least done 20 posts, and before I hadn't done that. So anyway. So that's better than nothing. And so you also wanted me to give a breakdown of
today, and just your ideas about the importance of the 24 digital lock-in, some of the obstacles of the 24-hour digital lock-in, because this is the first digital lock-in we were doing. Our first lock-in was an in-person. So if you want to talk a bit about obstacles so far in that, or just give like a quick spiel on it. And I was thinking of showing the calendar and going over our calendar.
Okay, so you're asking me first, and I know that sometimes I have to hear you talk before I really kind of dig into and be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Because when you say obstacles, I'm thinking, like, I had concerns, but I don't think that there were any obstacles that I faced coming into this. Like, I got very excited about doing a digital lock-in because I remember you just said the words, and I was like, oh wow, I hadn't even considered that, because I was trying to see how we can make another in-person lockdown happen, and with that comes the idea and the issue of money. So when that got removed, I was like, oh shit, well then let's do this. Let's do this, and let's do this now. So, I'm trying to be all fancy with it, and trying to create a certain kind of space, and that's all fine and dandy, and we're going to do that as well. But for efficacy's sake, and for the quickness of it all, yes, a digital lock-in was perfect, and I just have to set my boundaries and set my boundaries. But that wasn't even an obstacle, setting the boundaries. And I felt really good. I knew it was going to happen. I really kind of took it for granted that this day was coming, but I was sure enough excited about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting that you're like, I don't really see the obstacle. I find that really interesting because I think when we were doing the in-person creative lock-ins, um, us being right next to each other, waking up early at the same time, kind of eating at the same time. I think even we did our morning routine at the same time. So we did our morning pages at the same time. We did yoga at the same time as each other. I think doing all those ritualistic things at the same time kind of empowered the experience.
Yes.
So it's a little bit different. Like this morning, we both woke up at different times. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna go do my sit. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing my morning pages. Okay, I'm done with my morning pages. I'm texting you, like, okay, I'm about to do yoga real quick. And you're like, all right, I'm about to do this real quick. So it's almost like we're flying by each other, like we're two trains kind of flying by really quick and like, hey, like, gonna meet up back here. And I think that my mindset was where it needed to be. So it wasn't necessarily an obstacle, but I just noticed the contrast of being in person versus doing this digitally and just texting each other and like, heads up, let's do this. Heads up, let's do that. But
Definitely,
FaceTime has helped.
definitely a contrast. Definitely a contrast.
Yes. But being on FaceTime kind of all day and just like working while talking to each other in real time, I think has been really helpful to recreate the feeling of we are in presence with each other, because I think that that was something that was really powerful with our first creative lock-in, was us being in presence with each other. Whereas this one, of course, there's still presence, there's mindfulness, there's awareness, and there's attention. And our attention is going in the same exact place, which makes it really powerful. But the physical presence is like lacking there. But yeah, that's definitely something that I've observed with this 24-hour digital lock-in. But I wanted to go ahead and pretty much show the camera. Let's see if I can get this flipped around. So this is the camera. I mean, not the camera. This is the calendar we have for our creative lock-in this month. The first week was devoting 30 minutes to one of our projects, and we have all our projects written out here. These are like some of mine: writing for my script and my story, posting 1 time a week for each social media account, completing my music EP, practicing piano, figuring out a delivery method for my sheets that I make on my channel and displaying my skills. And with my mom, she has her projects, her conscious connections circle, outlining that, posting at least 2 times a week on our social media, children's book, and working on our entertainment and production company and what we want to do for that and things like that. So the first week is pretty much devoting 30 minutes to all of those things. And we also have combined projects that we're planning on devoting time to. After today, which is the digital 24-hour lock-in, then we're devoting an hour. And an hour doesn't seem like much. 30 minutes doesn't seem like much. But by the time we get to the third week, we're going to be devoting 2 hours a day and then 4 hours a day on that last week. 4 hours a day to
Yeah, that's gonna be a
do.
lot.
It's a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot, and it's going to be a big challenge. But I think with experiments, you want to push the boundaries of how far you can go. You get better results with that. And this is all about results and seeing if what we said is really true. Is what we say true about, man, if I just had time to do everything and all my passions, and if I just didn't have other people pulling my attention away, and if I just didn't procrastinate on this, I would be here. This would be so great. This would be this. An experiment is a great way to test that hypothesis and to record the results. And me and my mom doing morning pages definitely helps with the lock-in. It helps with that, because we're recording everything. So every morning we're doing morning pages and we're recording how we're feeling. We're recording how equanimity is going. We're recording our artist dates, ideas for that, our obstacles along the way and our triumphs along the way as well. And an experiment needs recording. If you don't record or archive the results or what's happening in time, then you lose a lot of valuable information. So I'm really proud of this calendar, and we'll be doing another cognizant conversation on the 28th. That's pretty much going to be recapping this experience of the month and what we got done accomplished and the experiment so far. So totally loving locking in. And I wanted to explain observational equanimity and our definition of that. We are tasked to practice noticing and observing how we feel without judgment and understanding the impermanence of the moment. Each experience will be logged and recorded for future reference. So each experience of equanimity that we have will be logged and recorded for future reference. And to me, this is almost like stoicism. This is like Buddhist philosophy. This is like mindfulness, awareness, and meditation in the moment, observing how we feel, our attachments, our aversions, what comes up for us while we're attempting to prioritize our passions and our intentions and our alignment for so much time a day. And of course, anytime you want to do anything new or transform yourself, the old is kind of going to kick up dust, and there's going to be what do they call it?
Dust storms.
Yes, but there's a specific name for it. It's like when something is expiring, like it's like an expiring tantrum or an an expiration burst, or there's a name for something when something is about to go and it kicks up dust or throws a fuss. It's like the bubble of it is bursting.
Gotcha.
So in establishing new habits and new neural pathways, there's going to be a lot of resistance, and there
Oh my
might be
God, yes.
relapse.
Oh my God, yes.
So observing this with equanimity is really important, so we don't fall completely back, or so we don't guilt ourselves, right? And I wanted to talk about our artist date. We're supposed to complete one by every Saturday, 12 a.m., and do at least one a week. So if we do more, that's fine, but we want to do at least one a week. And artist dates are a time we carve out to date ourselves, not second thoughts or rushed activities. So I have a list here, my desk, of artist date ideas that I
Oh
actually
my
printed out.
gosh, Khadijah. I love it.
Yeah, it's about 50, yeah, 47 ideas. You can see a sample of a few of them here. Finger paint, create a lookbook, drive aimlessly, make a bucket list, color a coloring book page, take a day of silence. That's a good one. Mix a
That's a
CD of
great
songs that
one.
inspire you. So yeah, we've struggled with artist dates since doing the artist way. I think that was probably the most challenging part of the artist way was the artist dates. So here we have it scheduled to hold ourselves accountable every week by Saturday. We need to be finishing one of these, or at least putting our intention and our attention towards finishing one of these, and if not, recording why. Why is it okay for us to neglect this time for ourselves and our inner artist? So, yeah, let me flip.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. And you should be very proud of that calendar. I'm very proud of that calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, I am. And I'm just really excited because that's how I get my shit done, is really just getting down into the nitty gritty
Gritty.
of to-do list, schedules,
Yep.
schedule blocks,
Very similar.
calendar blocks, block time, and really making sure I'm holding myself accountable to that. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for watching. It feels amazing to be able to carve out this space for myself and treat it like a duty, to be in duty to myself and to my projects, and to the things that I decide bring me fulfillment and joy and happiness. And one of our next cognizant conversation talks is going to be about choosing joy and happiness. And I feel like the act of choosing day to day, choosing in each present moment to reorient yourself towards your alignments and towards your goals and towards your creative projects, or towards inner reflection, or whatever brings you that level of happiness and joy and satisfaction, is really kind of radical to do, because I think in tough times, we start to kind of get desperate and we start to put on our practicality hats and say, okay, what's the most practical? And a lot of times things that bring you joy or fulfillment don't fall in that list of what's the most practical right now, or what the times are calling for right now. And everybody doesn't have this experience, but I know I do. So being able to treat this like, no, my joy and happiness is practicality, and me giving this attention to this and experimenting with this actually makes this very practical. Treating this like an experiment makes my dreams extremely practical because I get to write out the results and I get to be logical about it. And instead of being in my emotions about it, I get to be in my mind's eye, in my observational scientific sphere about it, which makes it all very left, right? Makes it very left-handed, very practical, very by the book. And it brings some groundedness to like the light airiness that sometimes we can have when we're going towards our dreams and our creative projects, which are like the inception is here, right? Or here in the heart or in the mind or inside our internal realms or our daydreams. So bringing some groundedness to that and being like, okay, schedule and stick by that schedule and schedule in blocks and record and archive. And it brings practicality to something that our minds might think of as impractical, which keeps us from pursuing it in the way that we may need to or desire to. So yeah, that's our current lock-in, and I would love to talk about the results of the first week. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I like you to go first since you're already beaming and bright and beautiful and on the big screen. So you go ahead because you're really excited. So you go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I am getting excited, right? The more that I talk about this. So my first week was a little bit challenging because the week started in a low. I was super excited to start the month of June and to block out all of these days and to take time for our creative lock-in. But I started on a low because of my own self-imposed thinking. It wasn't even anything outside of myself. It was really just my own thinking and kicking myself and being down because of something I perceived as a fuck up on my end. I see something in the comments. I says, I have a Virgo North Node and I'm learning how to bring more structure into my life. So I love this. Yes. The archetype of Virgo is very much this, like detail, 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 and getting really specific about the details. So yeah, but with a Virgo North Node, I can see how your South Node being in Pisces, like that's the energy that's decreasing, but that's the energy that's familiar. So Pisces energy is probably more familiar for you to be up in your daydreams or to be in that kind of a Neptunian sphere of like fogginess and watery imagination. So yeah, anytime anybody's like a Virgo North Node, I feel like there can be probably a little bit of difficulty striving towards that because the comfort of the South Node. But yeah, kudos to you to recognizing that in those archetypes because archetypes are really important to me. So even as I deconstruct, I'm always pulling towards the archetypes. And if I want to put an archetype on it, it's almost like the beginning of this first week was like the dark night of the soul for me. And I had just gone in such a high of being so excited for June and being like, yeah, you know, fuck me being underemployed. Fuck me not making enough. I'm going to dedicate this month and treat it like an experiment. And if it all fails, I can record it and I can reprogram and do something new the next month and go back to my old worries for July. But for June, I'm focusing on myself. I'm focusing on my projects. I had all this excitement about it and I was in a high. But that dark night of the soul came on and it was completely self-imposed, y'all. Self-imposed. It wasn't anything that happened outside of myself. It was really just me and my mind. But the difference and the work that I've been doing has helped me notice that like, oh, you're in a low. Instead of identifying with it and just being like, I'm just going to give up. I'm just not going to do this monthly lock-in. I'm just not going to prioritize things. I'm just going to stay in bed and bed rot. I was like, no, you're in a low. How can we practice equanimity and approach this low with a calmness and a peace of the mind, and with the equality across the board? And I was like, well, you messed up and you could just take accountability for that and sit with that and realize that your pain is coming is because you thought you disappointed another person. And you disappointing people is something that brings you down so much in your life in general. And you get to sit with that and understand that you're worthy, even if you are disappointing someone. And that you can be accountable for what you did wrong and take accountability for it. But you're allowing yourself to be pulled down, and that's unnecessary. So I was starting from that fucking point on June 1st, like, whoa, okay. And so I'm starting from this low point, but I got to devote my 30 minutes. So, and I got to study and figure out a meditation practice and modality that I want to take on for the month because my mom suggested that to me. She was like, I would love for you to research what kind of meditation will be useful and aligned with you and study for the first week that modality for at least 10 minutes a day and then choose a modality. So I went into study. I went into devotion and devoting myself and looking at my projects and taking it one day at a time and 1 minute at a time and what's easier for me to do right now. What can I do? What do I have the capacity to do right now? So I was already approaching it from that very early on. And by June 4th, I believe, or 3rd, I realized that the thing I was disappointed about was something that was completely in my control to change. And that allowed me to notice how I shifted, and take that information from that shift and apply it to myself throughout the day without the relief that, oh, maybe I didn't disappoint, maybe it wasn't so bad, kind of this external relief that was outside of myself, taking that and applying it internally. What if that person didn't give me relief? Or what if there wasn't a solution for the issue? Would I have this sudden shift in mood? Would I be able to cultivate this shift in mood still? Knowing that I disappointed myself or knowing that I was just disappointed in myself even. So once again, another opportunity to approach that with equanimity. And this equanimity, y'all, has been kicking my ass because I'm an emotional person and I tend to identify with the emotions. And this really is like stoicism. It's really noticing the emotion, noting it, observing it, and not identifying with it and staying on the path of doing what must be done. Which is whatever you're prioritizing, whatever's aligned with you, whatever your higher self is calling for. So that was a really exciting, interesting way to start off this first week. But I noticed that more and more every day, it was easier and easier for me to make time. It was easier for me to continue to stay in the flow because I would get into a flow when it was time to do my client work. But then once the client work was done and once I, sharpened up my resume or had any other goals that was outside of that, it was this kind of moment of silence. Like, what do I do? This moment of confusion, like okay, what do I do now with my day? Now that I've finished all my obligations. And it's like, you got this whole fucking list of projects, not only singular projects, but also combined projects. You have 4 social media accounts you're supposed to be posting on every day. You know what to do because it's all written down. And so I refer back to it. And I'm noticing every day that passes, I have to refer to the list less and less because the list becomes up here. I don't need to refer to the calendar to know how much time or how much duration I need to spend on something because the more and more I refer to it, the more it becomes kind of engraved in my mind. So every moment I get that's free, I'm already occupying that space with a knowledge and an intention of what I desire to be done for that time. So that's something I've been noticing, and it feels good to kind of wake up and just get into the flow and remain in the flow for the majority of the day. And it also has been kind of nice to have the obstacle of living with a partner. And usually she works a lot. and she works during the times that I'm the most locked in during the day. So she's away at work and I'm locked in here at the apartment doing what I need to do. But there have been a couple of days where she's off, or a couple of days where, yeah, I don't start work until 2. So how different is my morning routine when I have a partner who I wake up next to who has influence? You know what I mean?
Yep, yep,
Do I
yep.
still choose myself?
Oh
Or
my
do I
God, do I
drop
still choose
activity?
myself?
Yes. Or do I drop activities, or do I compromise, or do I pull back? Do I allow myself to be distracted? And I'm really proud to say I've been standing my ground, and not only standing my ground, but being really doing it out of a space of compassion and like understanding like, oh yeah, no, you're not wrong for wanting to spend time with me, because previously in my partnership I've been aggravated like, you want me to give you attention but I don't give myself enough attention.
Yes,
So it
yep,
was this
yep.
anger towards my partner, because it's like, how I give you more attention when I don't give myself and my projects and my creative things enough attention. But as I give these things more attention, there's a softness
Yep,
in understanding
yep.
when I get to serve myself and I get to pay attention to myself, but also having compassion and empathy and being like, I can't wait to get to my partner after this. You know what I mean? I can't wait to show her the attention that she deserves to get. Like I can't wait for that, but I'm not stopping what I'm doing to provide that. And
Yeah.
that's cutting down the codependency. That's lessening all of that, where it's like your emotions are not my responsibility right now, but I still am not, I'm not sharp towards you because you require or request my attention, and I know that I have control over what I give attention to. So you can request it, but it's always in my place to say no. So that's excellent practice. And I noticed how I've been shifting there. It's a lot less resentment towards my partner because she wants to give me attention, when it's like, well, ultimately, why am I resenting her when I'm the one who's choosing what I give attention to?
That's
So exactly. So that's been really interesting for me. I've also noticed how I'm shifting equanimity with social media posting,
Ooh.
and how I was struggling with posting on social media and the response that I would get. And I was letting other people's response dictate how I posted, how often I posted, what I posted. And now I feel myself being free from that in a sense, because all I'm devoted to is posting once a week on all my social medias, including this one, Must Be Mental, 2 times a week on Cognizant Conversations. That's it. I'm not devoted to how people respond. That's not in the
Yeah.
MO for this experiment. And if I'm getting real practical and real scientific with it, I have my specific parameters for this experiment, and everything else I don't even have time for, because this shit is so much work. I have to really focus, you know what I mean? And really focusing means not getting caught up on checking likes and rechecking and double checking, and move on to the next post because you got another one to do. You know what I mean? And I've been approaching social media and posting with social media with just a lot of equanimity that I didn't necessarily have before. And it is a bit of a relief. And it's a little different, and it's unrecognizable, but in a good way. So that's exciting. And there have been strange moments where I feel like I'm outside of myself a little bit, because I'm like, damn, I feel this low, but I'm just doing it. Like I'll witness myself making the choice. Like, I really don't want to weight lift today. Like, I really don't want to
Right.
weight lift. And it's like, well,
Right.
why don't you want to weight lift? It's just like, I just don't want to right now. I don't want to
Yeah.
weight lift. I'd rather just smoke a joint and like lay the fuck down.
Right.
Um, but just making the choice, just being like, getting up, going to the remote, going to the video, setting it up, putting my shoes on. And I even recorded myself weightlifting and doing yoga for the first time.
What? What?
Right. Which, you know, is a
What?
huge deal. because I was like, I'm doing this fitness every day. I need to record my journey because other people get to see, what happens when a person who is artistically inclined and feels like they can't ever be physical or be into fitness because it's too scary or too intimidating or overwhelming or it's too physical and I'm too cerebral for that. No, 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 no. And I think my journey is unique in that sense. So I was like, I need to start recording myself because I'm going to wake up. It's going to be a couple of years from now. My body and my routine and my being is going to be completely different. And I'm not going to have any type of contrast to be able to compare that and see where I came from. So yes, this week, I just said a lot, but this week has been really, really interesting. Recording all the results, recording my ups and downs, my highs and lows, returning back to that. And I'm really excited to start next week where we do an hour and making sure I get even more tight with recording how long I spend doing the things that I do. With my piano lessons, I've been really on that because I know it's 2 hours by the end of the month. So I have to stay on weekly, okay, 30 minutes each week. So I time that. But when it comes to like, oh, devote an hour or devote 30 minutes, I'll just be sitting doing my outline for my story. And I'm like, well, it's been over 30 minutes. Of course it's been over 30 minutes, but I'm not recording the exact times. But once we get to a point where we'll need 2 hours or 4 hours or more, that kind of vague archiving might not necessarily do. So I'm excited to get even more tight with recording what I'm doing, how long I'm doing it, and what I'm spending my time and attention on every single day.
Wow. Okay, so you just leveled me up so that I will definitely be recording in a much more intentional way about this experiment. Like the science that it is. Well, I'm not going to do that because I'll get caught up in that. Mm, the teacher in me will get all caught up in that. The professional educator in me will get all caught up in that.
Because we're all about the curriculum. So
yes.
You and me. So we could get caught up in the nitty gritty of the curriculum and the details. But it's good to embrace it because I feel like that's where we come from. But please continue.
Yeah. It is good to embrace it. But thank you for that because as you have spoken today so far, I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is a great opportunity to record in a very intentional way since this is an experiment. I was like, oh wow, okay, so I have to get much better in recording. That, and particularly in my pages, because so this week I recorded 3 times. We started on Monday, June 1st, and so from June 1st until yesterday, which was Saturday, was just 5 days. And out of that 5 days, I did record it 3 times. And I think I've settled on observations and equanimity, right? And so I did that, and we're on episode 3 of that. Now, I didn't post any of those things, but I did record them. And I have a lot to post, and so we still actually have quite I still have quite a bit that I want to tick off during this lock-in today, and we're not even going to finish this up till 5 o'clock. And so I'm hoping that I have enough time to get it in, but it doesn't matter because I get to keep it going.
Yes.
So I'm just very excited because this time, in this particular moment, I feel that I am using the time wisely. That in another one of our potential topics that we'll be talking about in our upcoming
Cognizant
conversations is about pace and pacing. And so I feel like this pace has been very satisfying and very fulfilling for me today. And I've also gotten some shit fucking accomplished. So I don't feel like, because during the first lockdown, I would sit down and I was like, a fucking hour has passed by and I haven't gotten any more on this fucking paper, or I've been kind of rambling over here on this paper and I haven't really gotten anything accomplished. So like, what's that about? But this time I don't feel that way. This time we checking off. We're checking off. Or at least you're checking off. I'm checking off.
Thank you so much
Boxing.
for the rose. I thank you. Really appreciate it.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you, I for all of the
All of
gifts
your
that you,
interaction.
all
Yes.
of your interactions and
Appreciate your
engagement
presence.
with this. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you and we appreciate this. Um, And so, what's also been interesting for me this week is really observing the equanimity, because I realize how unconscious I go when I get locked into like what I'm doing in my other work, and not other per se, but in the additional work that I'm doing at the daycare and with Calibrate, and so sometimes it's interesting to see how when I get locked in there how sometimes I may not be always thinking about like what's going on and observing with equanimity. But I have been at this practice for so long that I do notice when I feel a certain kind of way when it passes or reaches a certain threshold. So maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, or from 0 to 10, like if it's anything between a 0 and a 2, I'm not catching it when I'm locked in, when I'm busy, when I'm working, or everything like that. I'm not really catching it. I'm a little unconscious to it. However, if that sucker comes rolling in like at a 3 or above, I'm catching it, and I'm like, oh, and that's my signal. I'm feeling some kind of way. All right, so now this is an opportunity for me just to observe and to notice and observe, and I do question, but first I just want to observe. I just want to observe what this is and not go either way with it. Just observe it with equanimity. I'm not going to push it away, and I'm not going to cling on to it. I'm just going to observe. And I had an interesting one that I recorded, that came up for me, and it was big. It was big. And that is the fact that I'm holding on to looking younger than I actually am.
That came
And
up again because I know that came up in our Vipassana video where you talked about how that was an attachment that you didn't know you necessarily had, and it came up. So you're still noticing and observing that attachment.
still noticing. And honestly, well, because I don't even know if it's an attachment necessarily anymore. I just noticed that, and that's interesting that I say that in this moment, that it's not an attachment anymore. But I noticed I felt I see, because I noticed it, and it's not necessarily the noticing it that made me feel a certain. It's not necessarily the thing itself that made me feel a certain kind of way. It was the noticing that I felt a certain kind of way.
Hmm.
And that's it too, in a nutshell, because I'm at this point now where I'm like, oh well, I'm a big dog around here in this consciousness and awareness camp, so I'm supposed to be above all of this. But clearly, no the fuck you're not. No the fuck I'm not. This is all it. I don't care how high you get, there's more to go. There's another fucking level. This is eternity, bitch. This is
Yeah.
infinite, bitch. Eternity,
Yeah.
this is the loop, bitch. This is
Yeah.
the infinity symbol, bitch. We're gonna do this
Yeah.
over and over and in all kind of ways. And when you finish with this motherfucking dimension, we're gonna go to the next dimension. And when you finish with that dimension, we're gonna go to this dimension. And on 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 it goes to infinity and fucking beyond. So there you have it, there you go.
Yes. And how did equanimity feel in that moment? Like how was that process for you to be able to not only just observe and notice the feeling of some type of way, but to also consider equanimity, because that's a choice. You can notice, I feel some type of way about that, but not take the next step to equanimity of the moment.
Okay, so
How
I
did
tell
it
you,
feel?
like, okay, so you're asking me how I felt. And in this moment, I can't tell you how I felt, but what I have an urge to do is to tell you the process that I went through
Please do.
in that moment. And the process that I went through was, I was like, oh, okay. So I'm noticing that this is coming up for me. And I was like, but I'm not really attached to this, or am I, or whatever. And I was like, well, you're noticing because, you're noticing the combination of all of them, and then you're still here. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. Just like I just told you, I was like, is it, because I'm not going to talk about what I don't want. And sometimes with equanimity, especially the way that it was presented to me in Vipassana, you have your clingings and your aversions. So things that you are pushing away and things that you are pulling towards you. So it's a push and a pull, what you're holding on to, what trying to get fucking rid of or whatever. And I needed it to even be simpler than that. So if I feel some kind of way, what has to happen when I feel some kind of way is I get to kind of like observe that I feel some kind of way, and then like make logical sense of it and look at it from both sides of the equation, and be able to bring that in and look at it from both sides of the equation. And so also what was happening is, like I wanted to hone in and get clear, and I was like, okay, so is it that I don't want to age? And I was like, no, that's not it. And I was like, and then let's not frame things in a negative way. Is it that you want to look younger than you actually are? And I was like, oh, that's a little bit more clearer. That resonates. Yes, this is something that I like. This is something that I prefer. Am I attached to it? Do I get to hold on to it? And at the end of the day, none of that shit fucking matters. None of that is important, so it doesn't matter. So it's like, okay, so wipe all of that out. So you're clear about that. So what is it? What is it that keeps coming up for you? And it was like, oh, because you just even have the thought, period. You feel some kind of way, period. And so you're still holding on to that judgment about yourself because you feel like you should be so much more enlightened, so much better. You should be so much more. So now are we back to being more because what you are is not enough?
Mm. Ooh. Clock it.
So, so then it's here and it's there, and then it just goes back to the same thing that I get to be back to. Of course, I am more than enough. I don't even have. I am enough, and then we can even take off enough and just I am. And then again, back to what this whole practice is about: embodiment and integration. I am embodying and I am integrating what I know to be true about the amness that is, and how I experience that amness and that isness in this life, in the everyday, in the moment to moment.
You are spitting. Yes, it's back to our experience in the awakening, in remembering, coming back to that remembering of that oneness and that unity with all that is and that ever will be and that ever was. And that's just the core of it. And all we're really doing is just leaving breadcrumbs and asking ourselves to look at the breadcrumbs every single day. There's a creator on here and he made a video and he said, it's like an escape room.
I've said that too.
Yes, it's like an escape room. And there's clues that mean something. And there's clues that maybe are there to divert your attention and to distract you. And that's the purpose of it. And it's not necessarily wrong when you're following a trail or a clue that doesn't necessarily lead you to escaping the room or elevating to the next level. But that's the purpose of it, right? Because an escape room, the game is to escape. It's to figure out and to kind of unfold and to, so if this game that we're playing is almost like an escape room where you're finding the keys to unlock something and to shift and transition from one space to another and to keep on doing that. Um, then basically this whole lock-in that we're doing and these reminders we're giving ourselves to stay aligned are like breadcrumbs that lead to the key, that
Yes.
unlock the room
Yes.
of forgetting and the room of unconsciousness and the room
Ooh,
of
ooh,
distraction.
ooh, that metaphor is popping, baby. That metaphor is popping. That metaphor is popping so fire.
So it is fun to remember, and there has to be kind of honestly a little bit of fun and forgetting too, and a little bit of forgiveness if we get distracted in the game and we're like, ooh, what do these tick marks on the wall mean? But they're scratched in this order and it's going, instead of from right to left, it's going left to right, so that must mean that we have to do this right to left or left to right or that, or you get, so caught up in that you're not looking at the other clue that's right next to it or across the
Right.
way that actually leads to a shift and a transition, because that's all it is. Going from one room to another is just kind of
Yes.
shifting and transitioning.
Yes.
The
Yes.
state of being, the state of beingness, and you shift that state of beingness, you shift your environment. So I find that really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'm really glad we're recording this.
I'm really glad we're recording this too.
I did want to talk about our artist dates because I don't know if you got a chance to do yours.
Okay. So let me tell you about my artist date.
Yes, please
Okay.
do.
So first of all, let's go back to that list of yours and your artist dates and how you have it. I fucking love it. I love the old typewriter font too. So yes, bitch, yes on that. And I have a similar list somewhere. But I get to definitely yes. The list is everything. When you go back to making yourself the prominent face in the video, you have to show it again as well. But and I started to make another one as well because I was like, yeah, no, I want to feel good about my artist dates, and I don't want them to feel rushed, feel last minute, feel, like it was an afterthought, because I'm not an afterthought, and I would be very upset if someone who was trying to date me, was just half-assing some shit together, because I've had that experience where, it's like, well, where do you want to go? Well, okay, well, you're taking me out. You're the one that has to pay for this, or not have to, but you're the one that's choosing to pay for it and then choosing to do all of this. So you choose, so that it's easy for you, and then not being able to just even take the time to put in the effort to come up with something that is thoughtful or mindful or cool or fun or whatever. So at any rate, I want that to be the experience that I give myself. This is an artist date where I'm dating myself. And so, because I remembered and then I forgot that it was Saturday and that I needed to have an artist date done. Right before you called, I had just remembered. Right before you text, and you were like, "How's your artist date?"
Saturday, wasn't it? Like
yeah, it was yesterday. Yes. And that's why
I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh shit, I have artist day, because I was focusing on everything else and the time was just ticking and I was like, it's Saturday, I have to do an artist date.
Artist date, have to do an artist date. And I kept thinking about it, and because I was driving and I was like, well, what am I going to do? And I was like, because I was like, I already have to expend a lot of effort and energy for tomorrow's lockdown and being at the house and keeping the children away from me. I was like, so that's already, and I have enough energy to do that for tomorrow. I don't know if I have enough energy to do that for today, the artist date, or, whatever. So I was like, so I shan't go home to do an at-home artist date. And then I was like, okay, so I'm out, but but I'm out, but I also don't want to spend a lot of money on an artist date because I've already overspent and there is no money in the budget for an artist date. And I'm so grateful and glad that I have a budget and I know, what I can and what I cannot do, even though I don't always follow it, but at least it's in place and I know how to tighten up and get better at it. Um, And I was like, so, and it's getting late. It's not earlier in the day. If it was early in the day, I could possibly have some more options, but now it's getting late. So now what? And then everything that I thought or thinking of, and even what I actually did, I was like, this is some bullshit. This is not like a real artist date. And I was like, no, hold up, wait, wait, wait. If some guy, some man, since I'm a heterosexual woman, if some guy, or even if I had a good friend, a good girlfriend, and she was like, hey, you want to get together and just like take some time to actually, like, there's so much that I've been seeing online that I want to share with you. And I want to just carve out some time just so that we can share. We have an hour. You take 30 minutes, I take 30 minutes, and we just share and discuss, share and discuss, share and discuss. That's what we're gonna do. I was like, that would be so fun. I would
That would
love
be
that.
so fun. I would love to do that with a friend, with anyone who I care about and like.
Because I do it with music. I have my friend Van and I, that's what we do. We get together and all we do is swap music. I take that time with you and I'm like, tell me some new music. What
Yeah,
new music
absolutely.
are you interested in?
Yeah.
So since I love doing that with other people, I was like, okay, so that's what I'm going to do because I've been busy and because what about the interesting shit that I want to look at that I have not been looking at because I have work to do. So when I'm using social media to do work, so I have work to do, so I can't look at the shit that I really want to. And then with everything that we're doing, I'm like trying to get focused and 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 I don't doom scroll that much anyway. I will binge watch some shit on television and Hulu and the streaming platforms and shit.
Right.
But anyway, but I've been totally no turning off the telly, as they say. I've been turning off the telly, and I've only had a little bit. I finished The Boys, but I only have a little bit of TV time because I've been doing our challenge, well, our experiment, and some of it has been challenging. So at any rate, so that was my artist date. I parked the fucking car and I smoked and I just shared, and it was still only a few videos because I really was getting into them and they were something that I like. And so videos that I would share or I wanted shared with me, I just kind of ran with those and did that and really enjoyed that process. And at the beginning of the date, I recorded. So I made sure that I recorded what I needed to record.
Nice.
And I recorded something. So that was my artist date. And I was like, but bitch, you in our parking lot. You could have done that at a nice spot at a restaurant. I was like, bitch, take it back to COVID days. Motherfuckers was having dates in parking lots in the cars with people and that shit was fun. And I thought that was brilliant. So here we are having another brilliant date because yes, we have to keep it local. Your car needs all of this work and da 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 da. And you take away all the excuses and all of the concerns. Let's get some
Yes.
shit done, bitch. Let's get
Yes.
some shit done. This is you. This is your time. And it was my time. I took the time. It was my time.
So Ronnie, I don't know if it's Ronnie or Roni. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. She said, "I love doing that too," and I just wanted to say that I love people who love doing that. I love people who value sharing and exchanging information and exchanging touching pieces of material. And I find that people who not only appreciate sharing, but appreciate receiving from other people tend to have certain markers of empathy
Yeah.
and certain markers of interconnectedness and a certain type of inner reflection. So I appreciate you sharing that. I really do. Um, Thank you for sharing about your artist date. Did you have anything else you wanted to share about artist date before we switch out and I talk about mine?
Oh yeah. Anything else that I want to share about my artist day?
Or just artist dates in general, our journey about artist dates and
Oh, just what I want to share here that I share all the time when you and I are talking about our artist date, and that is I think that our life will significantly and dramatically change when we are able to consistently gift ourselves with an artist date on a regular basis.
yes, absolutely.
Because you want to talk about obstacles, so yeah, no, that's always a huge hurdle for me, just to take out one, you mean to tell me one fucking hour a week doing some shit that I enjoy, just me by myself, I can't fucking accomplish that.
Yeah. It really shows you blatantly your relationship with your inner self and your inner child. It's pronounced Ronnie, Ronnie. Okay, okay, I'll remember that, or at least I'll try to correctly if I'm still pronouncing it wrong. Ronnie, thank you for commenting, Ronnie. Yes, it really blatantly shows you where you stand with your inner artist, your inner child, your inner self, and the relationship that you have with yourself.
Yeah.
Truly. Because if you're not able to wine and dine and date yourself, like where's that standing in that relationship? If you're not able to spend just alone time with you and yourself, where's that standing in the relationship? If you had a partner you couldn't spend alone time with, if you had a partner where you guys couldn't schedule something once a week, even if it's just a casual hang up to hang out and it's always excuses or things like that, it's like, what does that say about your standing with that person?
Yes, exactly. What does it? Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when our stands about ourselves change enough to incorporate the tenets and principles of the artist day, our lives will change because then that means the relationship with ourselves has changed. And I completely agree with that. I'm gonna go ahead and expand it out so I can talk
Yes.
about my artist day.
Yes. Let's hear about your artist dates, my darling.
So I had similar things to you, and I have a similar way of approaching it. Where with my artist dates, I'm like, what will I find cute if someone was dating me? I have to kind of really externalize myself a little bit there, and put myself in the shoes of a proverbial someone else that I'm dating. And so it was a mad dash too for me. Money was a bit of I definitely don't want to be spending money. And because my car, I let my partner use my car to go to work. She had went off to work. So I didn't have the option of driving anywhere. So I only had the option of walking around the complex, maybe finding somewhere nearby in the neighborhood. And it's later on in the day too. So the sun is about to set. So I don't want to be on foot out in the neighborhood and all this kind of stuff. But I also don't want to keep on doing artist dates inside the house because the few artist dates I have done, it's usually something inside of the house. And I feel like sometimes that's a bit of a cop out. I want to get out a little bit more. If not, get out of the complex, get outside at least. So I found a really nice compromise and looked at my list, which I'll show again. Right now because there are actually a few items that I did from there. So item number 15, watch the sunset. I'm like, that's beautiful. It's later on in the day. The sunset is soon enough. I can prepare for the artist day. Let's watch the sunset. And I was like, well, I don't know if watching the sunset is enough. But then I saw 16 and it was like spend time outside with a journal, sketchbook, crafts, etc.
Ooh, I
So
love
I was like,
these.
I can combine both of those things. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to really make it like it is a date. And I was like, so me just like going out in my pajamas on my patio to watch the sunset and draw and doodle and journal, I'm going to treat it like someone else is coming.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I got dressed up. I put on a little bit of makeup. I put on a nice dress, put on my boots. And it was funny. My partner came back for their lunch break And she was like, "Where you going?" And I was like, "On a date." And she was like, "For real?" And I was like, "Yeah, artist date." And then she was like, "Stop saying date. I feel some type of way. You looking that good." But it's like that's what it should be, though. Our
That's what it. Yeah.
relationship with
Yep.
ourselves should, in a way, and it doesn't have to be a competition with the romantic or with the familiar relationships, but it should be like some type of something where it's like, oh dang, okay, oh, you gonna do that for yourself, all right, like
Girl.
it needs to
Exactly.
be acknowledged by the other parties, because it needs to be something that you're putting attention to that the other person necessarily in that moment isn't getting. So yeah, I'm getting dressed up and my partner is like, oh shoot, okay. And I go out on the patio. It's the perfect timing. The sun hasn't set yet. I bring a chair out. And here's another moment of observational equanimity I get to do. I go outside in the patio and I notice that I haven't swept out there. So, it's little leaves from the tree and all of that. And I'm just like, this is dirty. Like, you don't care about your artist day. You didn't even sweep before. And I'm like, don't give a fuck about these leaves and all of this stuff. Kind of similar to how you're like, you're in a parking lot and there's like this critic in your head that wants to judge. And it's just like, fuck it. I'm in a parking lot. Fuck it. My patio has some leaves. But if I came and I was getting to know somebody and they said, hey, let's like go to the patio of my apartment and like just journal and listen to music
Yes.
and vibe out and draw together and watch the sunset. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Hell
Fucking
yeah. Like,
yes.
I'm not gonna be complaining about the fucking leaves on the patio and being like, well, it's not spotless out here. Like, no, like I really don't give a fuck. And just kind of observing that voice and noticing like, oh, this is just familiar brain pathways.
Yep.
It's just the familiar brain pathways popping up because I'm doing something new and something different, and it sees that as a threat.
Yep.
Okay. And just observing and not judging myself for it, and even drawing a little bit about it and doodling about it in my journal and recording it and taking the time to do that too on my artist date as I listen to music and watch the beautiful sunset. And it was gorgeous. So that's what I did for my artist date. And I got to have a moment of equanimity in there too,
I
because
love
I
it.
realized how I was approaching it and how I felt a little awkward. And I was like, oh, I don't want anybody walking their dog on the complex to see me sitting out here alone drawing. Why? Do you not feel like you're worthy? Do you not feel like you're worthy? So it's just one of those things like, why is that who cares if someone sees me? Why am I concerned? Like, and just feeling a little bit awkward and just noticing. So it was a really great opportunity, and I'm so glad I did it. And I really want to challenge myself to do artist dates for the rest of this month that go outside of the house.
Yes.
So going to the comic book store, or maybe going for a night of karaoke, or maybe, I don't know, doing some art on a wall, abandoned somewhere in the middle of the desert. You know what I mean? I would love to do that as an artist date. Just to show myself that art doesn't have to be productive all the time. And it doesn't have to be witnessed by everyone either. Art can be done for the sake of it being done. Which I think is a really important lesson for me to like alchemize in this moment. That art can be done for the sake of art being done. And monetization and function and all that kind of things don't always have to come first. So that was my artist day. It was really beautiful. And I was really proud of myself because I was like, the last time I did an artist day was probably like a couple of years ago or something like that. Or a year and a half ago. Something crazy.
Wait, what? What did you just say?
The last time I did an artist day, it was probably like a year ago or a couple of years ago. Something crazy. I've really struggled with doing the artist day. Morning pages, I can do morning pages every day, easy, 4 years every day, every single day. Haven't missed a single damn day. Artist dates, getting off my ass and going somewhere and just me going somewhere, That's a little bit more challenging because I like to piggyback off of people and I like people to kind of drag me around. And then I sit up and boo hoo about not having agency. But I realize how I'd like to be kind of drawn up into other people's whirlpools of desires and intents because I get to ride off of that energy and how different it feels cultivating my own energy and making my own whirlpool and being okay being the only one in that bitch.
Two metaphors. One about the orbit, being in somebody else's orbit, and then just being in your own world and allowing people to orbit around you. And then two, the other metaphor, oh fuck, I forgot, but I think it had something to do with school and a class, but agency, and having your own agency. Oh, because I used to tell the kids in my classroom, I used to say, getting a job is for not is for, but getting a job is easy because and going to jail is easy because you're told what to do, when to do, how to do it, where to do it, and all you got to do is show up. And sometimes you don't even have to do that; you're forced to show up. So everything is done for you, and you're just told, and you just do it and execute. And then that way, you don't have to put forth a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of energy in other areas and realms of existence. Same with working a job. You're told what to do, how to do it, all the systems in place, all the kinks have been kind of worked out, and you just go in, you show up, you get paid for it. Somebody tells you how to do it. Boom, 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 boom. But when you have your own fucking agency, you start some shit from scratch. You're creating some shit. You have to be your own boss. You have to say, when is it time to show the fuck up?
Yeah.
What is it that I have to do? How much time do I need to devote to here? What are the kinks that need to be pulled out of here? What's needed for this over here? You have to set the calendar and the schedule and the dates. When is our launch date going to be? When are we procuring this? What's the order that shit needs to be put in order to get it done? And all of this, there's just from the most menial of tasks to the greatest of tasks, you're in charge of it all. So in this life, in this world, when we start talking about agency, and you and I particularly, when we start talking about like, well, how am I going to spend my time and what am I going to do with that? We are being shown, even with the artist date, when we are given the agency, what are we doing with it?
Yeah.
And we say
that
we
don't want to be free. You want to live life according to your fulfillment and your passions and your desires. Okay, then devote every waking moment and present moment to that.
Do that, yes. And what happens when you are free? What happens when you give yourself the freedom, when you give yourself even 12 hours of locked in freedom to create? What do you do with it? What do you do with your own freedom, with your own agency? So back to you. I just had to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I don't really have too much to say. I think we wrapped up not only our previous creative lock-in, but the current one, including this entire month that we've been doing, and also today's digital lock-in and the importance of that, and then also us scheduling artist dates and us recapping pretty much how it's been going for the week. I think we covered everything in terms of this part of the creative lock-in. We're going to be joining together again on June 28th, probably around the same time, to talk about pretty much almost the conclusion of the experiment, because by the 28th, the month will be done. There'll only be about 3 days left in the month, 2 or 3 days. Yeah. So it'll pretty much be a wrap up and a conclusion of what has happened. Oh,
this is falling in line perfectly.
It really is. And that's another interesting thing to note is all the kind of synchronicities and the timing of things. I think that's really fun and that's really interesting in doing this. And I've just been noticing because, like I said, I'm deconstructing, so I don't want to fall into spiritual psychosis or anything. But I'm just noticing the numbers, the topics that come together, the pieces and odds and ends that meet up and match up and pair up neatly and nicely. So I think that's amazing. But yeah, things are definitely falling into place. We'll be coming back to talk about this again on the 28th. I'm not sure if we're going to do a live like this or if we're going to do a recording and just posted to our
Posted.
Cognizant Conversations TikTok and YouTube and Instagram as well. But yeah, definitely if anyone's here still and really like this conversation, me and my mom usually get together on the Cognizant Conversations channel, which is our shared channel or our page here on TikTok and also on Instagram and YouTube, where we put up our full on talks where we talk for at least an hour per topic. And we have about 8 topics now. So we have about 8 hours of us talking about self actualization, esotericism, metaphysics, alignment, spirituality, self. And remembering and the being and embodying of the I am in the present moment and how important that is. So, yeah, do you have anything else to say in closing, Mom?
First of all, Paige, when did you get so eloquent? I just love how you are able to put words and thoughts and ideas together and just make just have so much clarity and cohesion. And anyway, on that note, yes, and if anyone who's on here still would like to join us for any parts of our digital lockdown on June 28th, feel free to do so. And if you have a lock-in of your own, something that you locked in on, that you are creating, that you are birthing, that you are practicing, share it with us, please. We love to hear it. And I think that's it for me.
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much. All right. Lock in day going good. Okay.
Very well. Very well. It's going very well. So, yeah.
All right. Love you. I'll talk to you soon.